Hey, what's going on, everybody? So in today's video, we're going to create a counter program using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Alright, let's begin, everybody. So what we're going to do is start with our index.html file. We'll add any necessary elements. Then we will style those elements with our CSS file. Then lastly, we will add functionality via JavaScript. So let's begin with our HTML file. Within the body of our document, I will create a label to store the count. So I will create a label with an ID of countLabel. The text will be 0. It's a little small, but that's okay. We'll increase the font size with CSS. I'll add a break afterwards with a break tag. We'll need 3 buttons: decrease, reset, and increase. So we have button 1. Let's copy this button, paste it 2 additional times. The ID for the first button will be decreaseBtn4 button. The text will be decrease. Then for the second button, the ID will be reset button. The text will be reset. Then increase, ID increase button. The text will be increase. What I'm also going to do is place our buttons within a div section. Let's cut our buttons, then place the buttons within the div. I will give the div a unique ID of button container. We'll center align our button container so it's in the middle of the window. Okay, that is everything we need with our HTML file. Let's move to our CSS file. Let's style the count label. It's a little small right now. I will select the ID count label. I will display the label as a block level element. I will text align center so it's in the center of our screen. Let's increase the font size. I tend to like to use the EM unit of measurement. The text will be 10 times the size. Then let's change the font family. Pick a font of your choosing. For this example, I'll use Helvetica. Let's center the button container. That should surround all 3 buttons. As you can see here, the ID was button container. Text align center. Okay, the buttons should be in the middle. One thing I forgot to do. Let's actually add a class to our buttons too. Class equals buttons. There. Alright, we will select the buttons class. I'll add some padding. Padding 10 pixels and 20 pixels. Let's increase the font size. Font size 1.5 EEM. That translates to 150%. Let's pick a font color. I'll just pick white. Then a background color for the buttons. Background color. I'll use HSL values. How's that? Not feeling it. That's pretty good. Let's round the corners with border radius 5 pixels. I'll change the cursor into a pointer when we hover over a button. Cursor, pointer. Then we'll add a transition animation. Transition background color after 0.25 seconds. Then we'll apply the hover pseudo class when we hover over one of the buttons. Take our buttons class, use the hover pseudo class. We will change the background color after a quarter of a second, then change the background color to something slightly darker. Yeah, that looks good. There should be a delay when you hover over one of the buttons. Our HTML file is done. Same with our CSS. Now we need to add functionality because, well, these buttons don't do anything. I will individually assign all of these buttons so that each is stored within a constant. So const decrease button equals, then we need to select each button by accessing our document.getElementById. What's the ID we're selecting? We will begin with our decrease button. Alright. Then we need our reset button. Reset button, the ID is reset button. Then increase button. Increase button, the ID is increase button. We need our count label. Okay, then we will set const count label equals, then we need to get the ID of our count label. So document.getElementById count label. Then we will use let count equals 0. We'll be reassigning count. We'll be incrementing and decrementing count. With our HTML elements, we do not plan on reassigning them, so we can set them as constants. Now we need a few functions, 3 functions, one for each of these buttons: decrease, reset, increase. So we are taking our increase button that we assigned. With the onClick attribute of this button, set this equal to a function. What's it going to do? When we want to increase this value of our count label, let's increment count by 1, count ++. Then we will set the text content of our label. countLabel.textContent equals whatever the count currently is. Let's see if this works. It looks like I misspelled onclick. Alright, let's see if this works. Yep, every time we press the button, our count label increases by 1. Okay, let's work on decrease. Really, we can just copy this function. Paste it. Let's change increase to decrease. Count minus minus. Save everything, and we should be able to increase and decrease. Then the reset button. Let's copy one of these functions. Change decrease button to reset button. When we want to reset, we will set count back to 0. Then update our count label with the current count, which should be 0. We can increase, we can decrease, and we can reset. Then increase and decrease again. Alright everybody, so that is a counter program with JavaScript, HTML, and CSS.